What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Phantom Sableye here, and I'm coming to you with the very first SDL Week 1 team builder against my first opponent, the London Leavannys. Now, the London Leavannys have a very scary team, and it's going to be pretty interesting during the battle. I definitely expect to have fun, as we both have Pokemon that are very, very threatening to each other's team. So, with that, I'm just going to go over my opponent's team very quickly. And just a reminder for every single team, each team gets to choose 3 Pokemon from OU, 3 Pokemon from UU, 3 Pokemon from RU, and then 3 Pokemon from NU and below. So, with that being said, there's only 12 Pokemon. And obviously in the battle we can only bring 6 Pokemon from our draft. So anyway, the very first OU pick my opponent decided to choose was Landorus T. Landorus T is a very good Pokemon, very strong, great at setting Stealth Rocks, very good defensively, and it's just a really balanced, rounded Mon. Though I'm not afraid of Lando T as much. The only nuisance that it can really cause me is setting up Stealth Rocks or using U-turn to get switch initiative. But other than that, I have a bunch of great checks for Lando T. So yeah, like I said, I'm not too worried about it. The next Pokemon that my opponent decided to draft is Mega Scizor. Mega Scizor is one of those Pokemon that I'm actually kind of scared of. As a Mega Scizor can put a huge dent in my team. I do not have much to switch in for Mega Scizor, so if this is a Swords Dance offensive variant that he decides to bring, I have to play around it, and if I don't, it could very easily sweep my team, or at least, like I said, put a huge dent in it. So yeah, I definitely have to be very wary of that Pokemon. The next OU pick that my opponent decided to draft is Talonflame. Talonflame also is one of those Pokemon that I'm kind of afraid of, as a Swords Dance variant could also 6-0 my team if it wasn't for one particular Pokemon that I decided to bring this week, but I will go over that later on. So yeah, like I said, Talonflame is very scary for my team, but hopefully I can deal with it properly. The next Pokemon is Crawdaunt. Crawdaunt is also one of those Pokemon that could be dangerous, but I definitely have a lot more switches for Crawdaunt than I do for Talonflame or Scizor, so I'm not as afraid of Crawdaunt as I am compared to the Scizor or Talonflame. I do have many ways to deal with Crawdaunt as well as OHKO it, so yeah. The next Pokemon that the Leavannys drafted is Porygon 2. Porygon 2 is just one of those Pokemon that's going to be a huge nuisance for my team, as it is very bulky. It can be annoying with T-Wave, and if he decides to bring an offensive variant, it could pose a problem, but I'm not expecting him to bring an offensive variant, so I'm not too worried about that. Tentacruel. Tentacruel is an interesting pick. He can run some very funky things with this Pokemon that would kind of ruin me or hurt my team a bit, but I'm not too worried about Tentacruel, as Tentacruel should easily be able to handle with my team. So yeah, that is his OU and UU picks, and now I am going to go over his RU and NU picks. The very first Pokemon he decided to draft in RU would be Bronzong. Bronzong is a great Pokemon, as it usually sets up Stealth Rocks, and then that's kind of it. I know it can do other things like Gyro Ball, Psychic, T-Wave, Explosion, a few other things here and there. I do not expect my opponent to bring Bronzong because of certain Pokemon that I have, and Bronzong would be, I feel it would hurt him more than it would hurt me. So I'm not worried about this Pokemon at all. The next Pokemon that he has on his team is Spiritomb. Spiritomb is an interesting choice. If he decides to bring it, I'll have to play around it accordingly. I'm not too worried about it, but if Spiritomb has Will-O-Wisp, it could definitely hurt my team a bit. But like I said, I do have plans for Spiritomb if he decides to bring it. So yeah, I'm not too worried about it. The next Pokemon is X-Cloud. X-Cloud is a very strong Pokemon. I am kind of afraid of it, but not so much. It's sort of like the threat is like as much as Crawdont, because Boom Burst is a very powerful attack and could put a huge dent in my team, but I do have a few switch-ins to it, so yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I don't expect my opponent to bring this either. The next Pokemon is Shiftry. I definitely expect my opponent to bring this Pokemon, as my opponent should know that my Mega is Charizard Y, which sets up this Sun, and Shiftry here gets a very good ability with Chlorophyll, which doubles its speed inside of the Sun. So he could use my Megazord Y ability against me. Now, of course, there are a few sets that Shiftry usually runs. Typically, it's going to try and set up. An SD variant would be pretty scary, especially if I allow him to set up a Swords Dance and leave him in the Sun, as Shiftry could possibly sweep my team. It's definitely a very scary threat. I'm definitely worried about it, but there wasn't as much I could do to prepare for this Shiftry if it does set up, though I do have things that can handle it if it does end up setting up a Swords Dance on me. But like I said, it is a very scary Pokemon. I definitely expect my opponent to bring this Pokemon against me. Anyways, the next Pokemon is Tauros. Tauros is also a very powerful Pokemon down in NU. Do not underestimate its power, as it can hit really hard, especially with Life Orb Sheer Force. I don't expect my opponent to bring this Tauros, as Tauros just, I don't know, I feel as though it falls short against my team. I just don't feel like it's the right bring for him, as there are a few other Pokemon that would do much better for him against my team. And if he does bring it, I do have a few checks for it, so I'm not worried about it at all. And the last Pokemon that the Leavannys decided to draft is their own mascot, the Leavanny. Leavanny, I'm not worried about this Pokemon at all. I believe it gets Chlorophyll as well. Does it? Yes, it does. So it can also take advantage of my Charizard Y's ability, but I don't expect him to actually even bring Leavanny, because Leavanny's its stats aren't all that great, and I have a bunch of Pokemon that can counter it or check it. But if he does bring it, I do have a few switch-ins for this, and I can be able to take care of it fairly well. And yeah, I'm not too worried about Leavanny. Also, it could bring Sticky Webs, but my team's not that fast anyway, so again, I'm not worried about it. So with that in mind, what I do from week to week, or what I will be doing from week to week for every single one of my battles, I will be preparing a team of 6 Pokemon that can handle any combination of 6 Pokemon that my opponent wants to bring. So basically what that means, if my opponent brings Lando, Spiritomb, X-Cloud, Tauros, Tentacruel, Crawdont, any 6 Pokemon, my team should be able to handle it, or any of those Pokemon in any variation. So with that in mind, let's get in with the team that I decided to create for my opponent. The first Pokemon I decided to bring, which was very clear to me, is my Mega Charizard Y. Now, Mega Charizard Y is a very strong Pokemon, and as it stands right now, my opponent does not have a switch-in for my Mega Charizard Y. Mega Charizard Y is going to at least 2-hit KO pretty much anything on my opponent's team. There's only 2 Pokemon that I believe can switch into Mega Charizard Y. That being the Porygon 2 or the Tentacruel. Either one of those Pokemon could possibly switch into my Mega Charizard Y, but then again, I don't really expect him to bring Tentacruel, so I'm not worried about that. And as for Porygon 2, well, Porygon 2 is just annoying in itself anyway. But other than that, my Mega Charizard Y will be just running straight through my team. Like his no switch-ins, it will absolutely destroy my opponent's team if he does not prepare for it, which I'm sure he will. But with that being said, I'm going to go over the EV spreads. I have 156 speed EVs to basically it's just there to outspeed whatever I need to outspeed. I believe it's supposed to outspeed the Landorus if it's max speed. Or no, I completely forgot what it was. Actually, let me check really quickly just to be sure. I'm pretty sure it's to outspeed Landorus if it's physically defensive. Yeah, it is. So Flando is physically defensive. I should be able to outspeed it with my Megazord Y. I did not want too much speed, as I didn't need that much speed, simply because his team isn't all that fast, and the things that are fast are already going to outspeed me no matter what I do. So yeah, that's why I decided to only have that amount of speed. Actually, yeah, no. My Megazord Y is to outspeed Adamant max speed Lando, in case he decides to bring that against me. So yeah, that is what the speed is for, and then I put 252 in special attack just to be able to hit as hard as I possibly can. I have 92 in HP. This 92 HP is very specific for me, because if it comes down to it, if he has a Choice Banded Talonflame, Adamant Nature max attack, I will be able to live 1 Brave Bird at max HP and then be able to knock it out with an Ancient Power. So if it comes down to that, I can hopefully be able to overcome his Talonflame. And then also another Pokemon that is scary is Shiftry. Like I said, with Shiftry and Chlorophyll, it can outspeed my Megazord Y in Sun, and I sort of expect him to run HP Rock, modest max special attack. If he's modest max special attack, Hidden Power Rock, it will not be able to OHKO my Megazord Y as long as I am at full HP. So that is why I have 92 EVs in HP. It will be able to sponge any hit that my opponent may think should OHKO my Megazord Y, and then I will be able to retaliate and knock his Pokemon out with 1 hit. So Megazord Y is going to be a very important Pokemon. It's going to be my win condition during this game, or at least one of my win conditions. On to the next Pokemon. I'm decided to bring my Tyranitar. My Tyranitar is it's there to basically counter the Talonflame. That is all that is going to be used for if my opponent decides to bring Talonflame. If my opponent decides not to bring Talonflame, then I will be able to freely use T-Tar for whatever I need to use it for. So basically, Stone Edge is there to obviously OHKO the Talonflame and to deal a lot of damage to anything else. Dragon Tail is there to be able to phase out any of my opponent's Pokemon that want to possibly set up on my T-Tar. That way I do not get swept. I have Taunt on my T-Tar to be able to stop my opponent from setting up Stealth Rocks with his Bronzong, or to stop any T-Waves that my opponent wants to use with his Porygon 2, and also to stop Will-O-Wisp from Spiritomb. And then I have T-Wave on there just to be able to slow down my opponent's team. That way I can set up for a Mega Charizard Y sweep later on in the game. I have Smooth Rock on there to be able to take advantage of the sand for as long as I possibly can. And yeah, 252 HP, 188 defense, Impish Nature. Those EVs are there to be able to take Choice Band and Max Attack, Talonflames, Steel Wing, or if he decides to set up Swords Dance, it will still not 2-hit KO me. And then I have 36 speed EVs to be able to speed creep the Porygon 2 if he decides to put a little bit of speed into that to try and outspeed my T-Tar. I made sure to put a little extra to make sure that I speed creep his speed creep. That way I can get a taunt off, and that way Porygon 2 will not be able to recover off against me or paralyze me or anything like that. So yeah, moving on to the next Pokemon, I decided to bring Ramen or Tangrowth. Ramen the Tangrowth is going to be an important Pokemon for this match. I decided to go with the Assault Vest variant, very standard set. Basically, it's here to sponge up hits from X-Cloud or Crawdont, or the Lando T. This Pokemon basically checks all three of those Pokemon quite easily. And then it should be able to knock out the Lando T with Hidden Power Ice if he decides to stay in on me, although I do not expect him to. I half expect him to rather U-turn against Tangrowth with his Lando T anyway. But I'm running Leaf Storm, Focus Blast, Hidden Power Ice, Knockoff. Hidden Power Ice, obviously, like I said, for the Lando T. Knockoff is to be able to knock off the Violite from the Porygon 2, as well as to get rid of any other item from my opponent's Pokemon. Focus Blast is there for the... who's it there for? Let me check real quick. I know it's there for the Shift Tree, possibly. Oh, it's there for the Porygon 2. Focus Blast is there for the P2, the X-Cloud, or the Tauros, if he decides to bring those. And Leaf Storm obviously is just stab, and it hits really, really hard. So I'm really hoping that Tangrowth will be able to sponge any hit for me, and then be able to fire back with a very powerful hit, even though it does not have much special attack. I decided to bring just max HP, max Spadef, Sassy Nature, because I don't really need speed for Tangrowth. Very standard set, not much else to really talk about for Tangrowth. So anyway, moving on to the next Pokemon I decided to bring is Hug Me, the Hydreigon. I decided to run Choice Scarf for my Hydreigon, although I'm still thinking about it, whether or not I should bring Choice Scarf, because there's other sets that I could use for my Hydreigon that could possibly work against my opponent's team. But for now, I'm deciding to go with Choice Scarf because it will allow me to outspeed any one of his Pokemon that he may decide to Choice Scarf as well. I believe there is only 2 Pokemon that outspeed my Choice Scarf Hydreigon. I think it's Max Speed, Jolly Nature, Choice Scarf, Lando that outspeeds my my Hydreigon. And then obviously Talonflame with its priority Brave Bird. And then I think he has a few other priorities which will obviously outspeed me. But besides that, nothing else on his team will be able to outspeed me. I only have 116 speed EVs, excuse me. 116 speed EVs because I did not need a lot of speed to outspeed his entire team with a Choice Scarf. I didn't really feel it was necessary to outspeed my opponent's Landorus if he does decide to go max speed Jolly Choice Scarf, because I have mini checks to that Lando. So that's why I decided to only have 116 EVs in speed, 252 special attack, modest nature, to be able to hit as hard as I possibly can. I want to use Hydreigon as sort of a revenge killer, but at the same time be able to put a huge dent in my opponent's team. That way I can sort of whittle his team down for my other two Pokemon that were meant to sweep against him. And then I have 140 HP simply because I didn't need a lot of speed, like I said, so I decided to put in HP. That way I can take a bunch of hits from other Pokemon. What I'm thinking in particular is for the Crawdaunt. Hydreigon is a pretty decent check for Crawdaunt unless he is running Superpower. If he's running Superpower, obviously Hydreigon will not be able to live the hit. But then again, if he does not outspeed me, Draco Meteor is pretty much going to one-hit KO him, I believe, if I have rocks up. So, enough about Hydreigon. Our next Pokemon is Toph, the Excadrill. Very standard Life Orb Sand Rush set with Earthquake, Iron Head, Rock Slide, and Rapid Spin. I decided I needed Excadrill. I was really debating between Excadrill and Feraligatr. I had actually built another team before this one, that had Feraligatr over Excadrill. But in the end, I ultimately decided to go with Excadrill because if he decides to bring rocks, I need a Rapid Spinner. Because I have Charizard Y on my team, and I need Charizard Y to stay in the back of my team for pretty much the entirety of the battle until the very end where it can finally sweep. Or if I decide to lead off with it, then it can sweep. But other than that, if I keep it in the back, I need to keep rocks off of my field. So I need Rapid Spin. Earthquake is there to pretty much hit everything really hard besides the things that are immune to it, like Bronzong with Levitate, Lando T, and I think he has a few others that are immune to it as well. Talonflame, and that's it. But then there are a few other resistances. But I have Iron Head for those Pokemon that want to resist EQ as well. And then I have Rock Slide for his Talonflame. Now I'm going to go over the EV sets. I have only 84 in speed because in Sand I will be able to outspeed every single one of my opponent's Pokemon in Sand. I believe there is, I think Lando is the only thing that outspeeds me if he's Choice Scarfed max speed. Jolly. I believe that is the only Pokemon that can outspeed my Excadrill under Sand. And with that, I decided to put a lot of EVs into HP, so that way my Excadrill can take a few hits if it needs to, because my opponent does have priority in his Talonflame, and if I do not have a lot of HP EVs in my Excadrill, then Talonflame's Choice Banded Max Attack, Adamant Nature, Brave Bird can do quite a bit against my Excadrill, and it's going to get worn down because I have Life Orb as well. And then 252 Max Attack, Adamant Nature to be able to, again, hit as hard as I possibly can. And Excadrill is one of my win conditions. If it comes down to the end, if everything is whittled on my opponent's team, Excadrill can pretty much 2-hit KO everything on my opponent's team. Everything. Except for possibly a physically defensive Lando T. But if he decides to bring that, I have a bunch of other Pokemon that can handle that pretty easily. So, enough with Excadrill. The last Pokemon I decided to bring is Got Milk, the Miltank, which has leftovers. I decided to bring the ability Sap Sipper because I didn't really think I needed Scrappy. The only thing Scrappy was good for is a Spiritomb, but like I said, I don't really think he's going to bring it. So I decided to bring Sap Sipper in case I need to switch Miltank out onto Leavanny or Shiftry if I know he's going for a grass type attack. This Pokemon is here specifically to kind of take a hit from Talonflame or Scizor. I know it's not the best check for Scizor, as Scizor could run Superpower, and if it sets up Swords Dance on me and then Superpowers, it can pretty much 2-hit KO my Miltank pretty easily. But if Talonflame is Choice Banded, Max Attack, Adamant Nature, I believe it does not 2-hit KO me. I'll have to double check that though. But I'm pretty sure it doesn't 2-hit KO me. But the moves I decided to bring was Body Slam, Milk Drink, Stealth Rock, Heal Bell. I felt as though these 4 moves were the best moves for me to use against my opponent's team. Body Slam is there to deal damage as well as the possibility of 30% chance of paralyzing my opponent's Pokemon, which is kind of what I'm hoping for, because paralysis would help my team a lot if I can get that on his team. Miltank is there to be able to restore the health of my Miltank. Stealth Rocks is there to be able to set up hazards, as hazards against my opponent will be very, very helpful, as he does have a Talonflame. And then I have Heal Bell as my last move, because I sort of expect his Porygon 2 to come, and then as well as it using T-Wave, or in case his Spiritomb wants to come with Will-O-Wisp, or even a Talonflame with Will-O-Wisp. So that way Miltank can pretty much counter Talonflame pretty well. And then my EV spreads have 244 in HP, 252 in defense, Impish Nature. That way I'm pretty much max defense. That way I can take any physical hit from any Pokemon that he has, I'm pretty sure. And then I only have 12 in attack. I just put it in attack just because. But yeah, that's my team that I've decided to bring against my opponent. I really think it is a solid team against my opponent. I'm still questioning whether or not I should have brought Feraligatr over Excadrill, but like I said, I kind of need that Rapid Spin, and I need rocks off my field if I want Megazard Y to kind of come in the late game and just clean up whatever is left on my opponent's team. So yeah, that's that. And so the Pokemon that I sort of expect my opponent to bring is all 3 of his OU picks, so Landorus T, Scizor, Talonflame, and then I expect him to bring Porygon 2 as his 4th choice. And then the next Pokemon that I'm sort of set on him bringing is the Shiftry. So with that in mind, I have I think he's bringing those 5 Pokemon because they match up against my team pretty well. And as for the last Pokemon, I'm not exactly sure, but I feel as though it's a toss-up between Spiritomb, Leavanny, or Tentacruel, or Crawdont. So yeah, those are the 6 Pokemon that I expect him to bring. And with that, hopefully I can bring a win to the Chicago Beartics. And hopefully I do not disappoint you guys. And thank you very much for the support, and I appreciate you all for watching. Thank you.